All right, it is Thursday, and as always, John Giles is with us in studio this evening. Good to have you with us, John.
Thank you, Nathan.
It's a great time of year for football. We've the Champions League coming up next week. We're just off a good international break, and we've live football. I think tonight is the only night out of 14 days straight, and the FA Cup semi-finals to come this weekend. So there's no shortage of football to get through. We might talk Premier League first. It's as you were at the top. Manchester City still a point clear of Liverpool. Slightly different experience for them over the past 4 or 5 days. For Manchester City, couldn't have been more straightforward. 2-0 wins against Fulham and against Cardiff last night. Neither side ever looked like they were going to lay a glove on them.
I read somebody at the weekend there, I think it was an ex-Manchester City player, saying it's ideal for City the way they're going. They're getting ahead early on, Nathan. And most of them, well, especially the last two. So they're not taking as much out of themselves. They're strolling through it, and they keep possession of the ball so well anyway. And just by keeping possession, they don't. If once they got the 2 up, you know, you don't have to score them. They could have scored a couple.
Is that an easy thing to do? Are there only certain teams that can do that? Control a game. So obviously they've got the very early goal last night through Kevin De Bruyne. That actually you can't just operate at 80%.
No, I think you need the second one just to secure it. You know, because anything can happen, a corner kick or anything. But once you get the 2 in that situation, and like I think once they're in that position, they're definitely one of the best teams in the world at seeing the game out with possession. You know, if Liverpool are winning, Liverpool mostly are going for another goal. That's the way they play. But City, with the players that they have, they're all able to keep the ball, keep possession of the ball. And I think what was good for them last night, like De Bruyne, is that the way you pronounce it?
De Bruyne, yeah.
De Bruyne was back to his best last night. He was really good. Now, the other 2 matches I've seen him play didn't play well at all. And you got Fernandinho back as well. So they're ideal matches for players to come back into form. And they're vital players for them, as we know. But the rest of them can whether be, you know, Silva, the 2 Silvas can keep the ball. Rassani, they all can keep the ball to Sterling when he's on.
Do you like to see them do that? No, obviously, earlier this season,
well, it gets a bit boring. It gets a bit boring.
Win 5-6-0. For players of that quality to almost just been going through the motions.
Well, it's gone through the motions only because they have licence to do it with the 2 goals that they have up, and they're able to do it. And somebody did make the point, as I said early on in the paper, one ex-player, say, well, you're not taking much out of yourself, Nathan, you know, because the matches catch up on you if you're playing a lot of matches. I know they're making a lot of changes, but if you can go out and get 2 up and then play it around, like we're neutrals, we want them to go and get goals. But for their point of view, you know, there's been a match coming at the weekend, they should be fresh for it. Whereas if you go 1 or 2 down, you're really going for the match. You're taking a lot out of yourself. The way they play, the last 2 matches against Fulham and Cardiff, got in front, handy lead, never gone to. Actually, there was a bit ironic clapping last night. I don't know when they got a shot in. Cardiff got it
in the second half.
So, but it has to be. You have to be good players to do that. I mean, you don't see any other team doing that to Cardiff. You know, Cardiff give them a bit of a game. But they keep the ball so well, all of them keep the ball so well that they don't have to do. And you are taking less out of yourself, because there's an old saying in football: when you have the ball, you can run all day. When you haven't got it, it's really hard work, because it's a pleasure to get on the ball, and they've plenty of players to do that.
On the way Cardiff set up, then, do you think Cardiff set up the same way to play Manchester City as they would set up to play Liverpool? Because it does seem as though actually these games are very straightforward, because teams are scared of their life. They actually changed their game plan to take on Manchester City, and I don't want to say gift them the game, but it sort of feels like that they don't lay a glove on them.
It only looks like that, Nathan, because City are so good. You know, I'd say Cardiff would be in a similar position going to Anfield to do it, but Liverpool obviously do it in a different way. You know, they wouldn't say they go 1 up or 2 up. They wouldn't be able to, they don't keep the possession.
They don't have the control of midfield
to do it, but they scored another goal. You know, that's what Liverpool. All the teams do it in a different way. But certainly if you're trying to keep your energy levels up for the next match, that's the way to do it with City, because they never looked in any danger. Once they got the second goal, particularly, Nathan, I think what it did prove was that Aguero is missed when he doesn't play. You know, Jesus missed a couple of chances. He's not as deadly as you know. They want to get him back, but they got.
Is there a sense as well when Aguero plays, he doesn't want the midfielders to be just stroking it around? He wants to get his opportunity still?
Well, he does get them, you know. I mean, he's leading goal scorer in it, so they must be scoring goals. They're not doing it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, usually it's Aguero scoring the goals, to give them the opportunity to do it. I mean, he did it at Fulham, didn't he? He's doing it all the time. So it suits him as well, because he doesn't have to kill himself chasing after the the back four, which Guardiola insists upon all these players to do. So if they have the ball, he can have a good break, and he's always likely to get a goal. Even when City are playing like that, they still made a good few chances to score in the game.
City obviously have an FA Cup semi-final coming up at the weekend against Brighton, and then during the Champions League games against Tottenham. They've had a very straightforward run in the Premier League. They've made it straightforward. 8 wins in a row. The last 4 or 5, everybody expected them to win, and they've been very professional and done the job. As a player, do you want, at this stage of the season, a straightforward run to be able to conserve energy, to have it as easy as possible? You wouldn't have any concern that they head into that Champions League semi-final against Spurs a little bit undercooked?
No, because when you see them with City playing last night and against Fulham, they were really, really professional, Nathan. When Fulham had the ball, they hounded them down, right? Where it's not good is, we're only playing Fulham, we'll beat them anyway, and we'll take it easy. They don't do that. They get the game over, and then they start playing it around. When they can afford, see, you know what they all say in football, goals dictate the game, right? So if you get 2 up against a team like Fulham or Cardiff, who are very unlikely to get the ball off you, that's what you do. Liverpool are different. Liverpool have to be go with Klopp. That's the way. They don't have anybody in midfield really that can get a hold of it and play it around like City. I mean, if you look at City, they got the 2 Silvas, De Bruyne, Fernandinho, Mahrez, Sterling, I can all hold the ball. You know, if you look at Liverpool's midfield,
they don't have those kind of technical players. It's more energy in the middle.
Yeah, they are what they are. Milner's very good at what he does. Henderson's good at what he does. Wijnaldum is good at what they do. But none of them are going to be playing the ball around the way City can do it. So there's different ways of doing it, you know. So depending on the players you have.
Both Huddersfield and Fulham have now already been relegated, and pretty remarkable stat that the bottom 3 this season have played the top 6 on 31 occasions, and they've lost every single one of those 31 games. Do you think that gap between top and bottom is grown again this season?
Yeah, I think it's going to grow every season, Nathan, because they just can't afford to compete with the players like coming up. Wolves have done it differently because they've done well, but they spent quite a lot of money, and the main thing is not spending money. They spent it wisely.
Yeah, I was going to say Fulham spent a lot of money as well.
But then you say, who's buying the players? You know, they sacked the manager, which happens in football, but he might not be buying the players even. They have the sports director or whatever you want to call them now, and it happens a lot with the clubs. They put in the director of football, he picks the players, and the manager takes the responsibility for it. But in the Wolves' case, you see, I think with the agent that they have in, I think he's a shareholder in the club now.
Yeah, Jorge Mendes, yeah.
And he knows his stuff, and he knows where the players are. Where are they good value? Is he getting the right price for them? And that, you know, what's the lad they signed in Mourinho? Not Mourinho.
João Moutinho in the middle of midfield.
He's 34, been a terrific player. I think they bought him for 5 million. Now they won't get any resale price on him, but what he's doing more than pays his way. See what happens in a lot of clubs, and it's like a business thing. We want to buy young, good players, so they've got a bigger value later on. I think Ashley does that thing, but when you buy those players, you want them to do their stuff, and they're worth more by keeping them and being successful. I mean, if you look at the return that Wolves are getting now in the Premier, doing well in the semi-final, they didn't buy players just to get up. They bought players to keep them up.
Yeah, and it'll be fascinating to see what happens in the summer.
Yeah.
Whether they keep hold of Ruben Neves and
again, it depends who they give the job to. Whoever bought the players for them last year, I would say to them, get the same lads and who do you want? Who did you see? Who do you get? I doubt if it's the manager. I doubt it. And he does a good job with them. But again, I think I said on this programme quite a few times, getting the right players in is 90% of the job. You know, you get somebody director of football and they're buying the players in, it's not the manager's buying the players, they're not doing well. And the manager says, well, they're not my players. Yeah, but we spent 100 million. You should be able to do better with them. But they're not. See, every manager has a vision when they're going to the game of how they want to play and who they need, what players they need in to do the way they play. If you don't have to be able to buy the players in to fulfill your dream, as I would call it, then your dream is gone. You don't have a dream anymore. It's somebody else's dream.
And that's the key for what Wolves have achieved this season.
Definitely.
Is that they have the right manager with the right players. Yeah. And probably the greatest compliment to them with that win over Manchester United on Tuesday is that it wasn't really a surprise. Their performance this season against the top 6 is they've taken the team, they've controlled possession, and in terms of midfield players, and we often wonder where the great midfield players are and who maybe the top four are looking at outside. Like what João Moutinho and Ruben Neves have been able to do in midfield against good quality opposition.
They're top six.
And control the ball, just stroke it around.
Really a genuine team. But you'd have to go back again, and I don't know, maybe we'll never know, who was responsible for getting those players. Not getting them, who was responsible for spotting them?
Yeah, well, I guess they're all Jorge Mendes clients, so therefore there's his connection with the club.
Yeah, he has the connection to get. He's the agent. He would have the connection definitely to get paid the right money and get good value for what he's doing. He has that, but who is spotting the players? Right, he'd come into the negotiation situation, or maybe he knows a lot of people who know what they're doing. Is it the manager? I doubt it. I doubt myself if it's the manager that's doing it. He wouldn't have the time to see all the players.
Yeah,
like Mendes would definitely have a big input because he would know from other people. For example, in the game, what's Joe Bloggs like? Oh, he's a very, very good player. Right, that's a recommendation. We go for him, and he would get the right price. That's instead of paying like 50 million for a player, like Liverpool have done, Manchester United have done. Haven't really worked out in that way. Not all of them, but some of them. But I haven't seen a player that's come to Wolves that they paid a few bob for that hasn't actually done his stuff. So that's the expertise. 90% of the job is getting the right players into the club, Nathan. 90% of the job.
That'll now be the job for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Manchester United as well, because it has flipped very, very quickly, and already talk is of the summer and reinvestment in what sort of players, and maybe somebody like Ruben Neves, who's I think he's only in his very early 20s at this stage, as somebody. It really does feel that midfield role is going to be key for them. There's a lot of talk Ander Herrera may go to Paris Saint-Germain. Declan Rice is somebody that they've been strongly linked with over the last few days that Solskjaer is keen on. Is he the type of player who could get the best out of Paul Pogba alongside him?
Well, I don't believe in getting the best out of anybody, Nathan. You're either a good player. I've never seen one of the great players where somebody has to get the best out of him. This is a myth.
But that's somebody that can... Because I know you've spoken before about Pogba isn't the starter. He's not the one who picks it off the defenders and starts things. That somebody can do that and get it to Pogba in more advanced positions where actually he can show his best stuff.
That's all part of the game. But you shouldn't have... Like, if you're a really top-class player and you're supposed to be a great player, you don't need anybody. You can... Obviously, the better your players they're playing with, the more chance you have of improving each other. Everybody's improving. You have a role to play. But you don't get a player in to get the best out of what is supposed to be a best player. It's just rubbish. I mean, Pogba was hopeless the other night. He was useless the other night. And the match before, where was the match before they were beaten? He was terrible. But I think, but it becomes part of the game now. I heard a commentator saying during the match, actually against Wolves, he hasn't been great tonight. Pogba. He was anything but great. He was poor.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to say that now. But if you're paying 90 million for a player and they're a world-class player, I've never met a world-class player, Nathan, that depended on somebody else making him better. Right? Now, obviously, the better the players you're playing with, the better you're going to be. But the great players make the poorer players better. It's not the other way around, that somebody else is coming in to make him. Great is a great. I mean, if you take as a great midfield, Modric at the moment, Modric is like where you saw him in the World Cup and that. I mean, he wasn't playing with the best players in the world. They were good players, but he made them better. He made them better, not the other way around.
Sure, yeah.
You know? And the thing is with Wolves as well, you say quite rightly with the lads that they have in and that, but you still go back to who actually was responsible for getting them in. That's what I'd love to know. Was it the manager? I doubt it, because he wouldn't see that much of them. And the players that we'd never heard of before become a really, really good team. And you get Fulham, who bought £100 million worth of player, and made them worse. I think Fulham are a worse team now than they were when they finished the season last season. Yeah, we're going to take a very quick break, but we will be back talking about Tottenham and their new stadium, and also Liverpool and where they stand in the title race right now. You're welcome back. John Giles is still with us. If you're watching live on any of our social channels, you can leave a comment if you have any questions for John this evening. So let's talk about Liverpool and their victory over Spurs last weekend. Left it late once again.
but they're keeping the pressure on. They're just about doing enough, and like they've still only lost one game all season. It's a pretty remarkable points total to have, 79 points after 32 games. They're just not going away.
Oh no. Like Liverpool are what they are. I mean, they're a team, they're doing very well. There's a good spirit about them and that. But you would have to say, now, last week in particular, they were lucky, Nathan. Actually, been lucky in a couple of matches against Everton. The goalkeeper made a mistake. Fulham, the goalkeeper made a mistake. Last week, Lloris made a mistake.
Was that luck? Because if you look at the 90 minutes, they probably had the better of the first half. Obviously, Spurs had good chances in the second, but they put the pressure on in those final few minutes heading into injury time. Do you not get the reward for that pressure?
Well, you do. Of course you do. If you're on the attack, you're more likely to score. But I mean, somebody likened them last week to Manchester United at their best when they were scoring their goals. But Manchester United actually kept their shape. They played well and forced it. I don't remember Manchester United with the goalkeeper, like Everton's not knocking it over the bar. Last week, the goalkeeper gave him the penalty away, and the goal, Lloris, the other night. I mean, he handed it to them. Now, good luck to them, because they have to keep at it, all right. Yeah. But if you look at the match against Spurs, I mean, Spurs had two great chances to go in front. Now, I remember Manchester United. I don't remember that happened to Manchester United at the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they were playing and kept playing and kept playing and scored good goals. They've got obviously they've got a few breaks, but like, when you're in the running for it, like Liverpool are in the running for it, Nathan, the breaks they got have been big breaks. Now, I don't want to take anything away from them, because obviously they go. But usually when you say, well, we kept at it, and we kept playing, and we kept playing, that wasn't the case with Liverpool last week. Actually, he made two changes that I thought was a wing and a prayer, right? Actually let Spurs in. I mean, if Sissoko had been any good at all, and that he could have finished.
Was that great defending by Van Dijk?
It was very good defending. Definitely very good defending, because he blocked him. But Sissoko was never going to score from it, Nathan. What he was really hoping, was that Van Dijk would pull
step across and he could give it to Son.
That was the last thing on his mind, was putting the ball in the back of the net. And that should be your first thing on the mind. In other words, if this guy's not going to come across, I'll go all the way. But you could tell the longer he took, the more nervous he got. He was never going to score from it. So Van Dijk did well. And
I guess that's what makes a great defender from a good defender. You can imagine if that was Lovren in that position, he'd probably fly into the challenge. What it makes as well, it makes a bad player look worse. In Sissoko's case, I don't think he's a good player anyway. But of course, Van Dijk had to do the best of what he could. But this was a great chance for Sissoko to say, like a really top-class finisher there, Nathan, would say, stay where you are. Stay with it, because I'm going to put the ball in the back of the net myself, with the confidence to do it, and that's what he would have done. But Van Dijk can only do what he can do, which he did it well. But Sissoko, as what's supposed to be a top class player, didn't respond in the right way. But I'm only talking about the chance that Spurs had, and one or two others in that particular way. So of course there's luck in the game, and you've got to make the most of the luck. I mean, Sterling was in there to get the header. It was really bad defending by Spurs, by the way. He's talking about Pochettino. This was bad defending. It was a corner kick that free at the back post.
That hadn't been cleared, and the players are running out. And we've talked about it. Well, I've said to you on the programme here, actually, when you get a defence as well organised, when that corner kick comes in, you don't clear the box, Nathan, until it's cleared. That ball was never cleared.
No, it was straight,
back to the left back, Robertson. Right, it was straight back. Now, what's the point of running out? What you do is you hold your ground there till somebody gets a header on it, or gets it out for the throw in, or gets it up the pitch. Then you get out quickly. So that was bad. It was bad. It was poor, very, very poor defending in that particular way. But there again, but as you say with Liverpool, I mean, you don't get those goals unless you're still at it, and you're still going, and you're still going. And as you say, you make your own luck, right? But there's a point where you get your breaks as well. But good luck to them. It's kept them in the race. Actually, could win the title for them. Because this was a situation in the last three matches, three of the last matches, they could have been 6 points behind, 7 points behind. They could have lost. Definitely, the Everton goalkeeper made a big mistake. The Fulham goalkeeper made a big mistake last week. And Lloris, I can't understand what Lloris was doing. It wasn't as if he was stretching for the ball.
No, it was almost as if the second touch he saw something out of the corner of his eye and ended up knocking it back into the goalkeeper.
Don't see things out of the corner, right? They only see one thing, it's the ball. And he had. I mean, it wasn't as if he was stretching for it and lost it. I mean, he was well within his grasp. But anyway, but Liverpool won, and good luck to them. It does keep them in the race. Now the thing is for Liverpool is take advantage of that bit of luck. It was the last few matches.
Well, I guess that's what they did so brilliantly after the piece of luck against Everton with Pickford's mistake in December, where they were like now getting results but sort of plodding along, and then they went on this sensational run for the next month, 6 weeks after Pickford made that mistake.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. The next match is the next match, and they could play brilliantly until the end of the season. But people are saying, I don't think they're playing as well as they should be playing at this particular stage. I think there is pressure on them, but you have to be able to handle that pressure in that way, and you get the breaks. You need breaks along the way, but you shouldn't be relying on them a bit too much.
Yeah. I know you're a firm believer when it comes to substitutions of if something's working in the first minute, why wouldn't it work in the last minute? From Klopp's point of view, because he ended up with almost a 4-2-4 for that last 10 minutes. Yeah. Was that a case sometimes where actually if you keep doing the same thing, Spurs have figured it out and they've dominated the last 20 minutes, that you just need to try something else just to get the crowd up, get the players up, show that you've gone for broke?
No. You see, I don't believe in going for broke, right? You keep playing and see, this is where you go back to Manchester United under Ferguson, right? And you used to talk about Fergie time and all. What was great about Ferguson was that regardless of what the score, if they were a goal down or they were drawn and they needed a goal. If you look at it, I don't remember Ferguson making drastic substitutions. And if it was Beckham on the right to get it out the back, you keep doing the right things, Nathan. And it's a hard thing to get into players, because what most players do is they want to get in there quickly. They want to go from back to front and knock it in and knock it in. And that's easier to defend. Keep doing the right things is very, very difficult. That's how you had Fergie time. That's where I'd be disappointed with Klopp, right? It's a wing and a prayer putting on the players, in my opinion, what he did. There wasn't the players that he put on that actually won the game for them, right? Because when the players went on, it was Sissoko had his chance at that time to score it. And you can't legislate for a goalkeeper like Lloris
making that sort of mistake.
You just can't. What you have to do is, and it's a hard thing in football, doing the last minute what you do if it's the right thing to do in the first minute, it's the right thing to do in the last minute. But what happens with a lot of players, they get panicky, the managers get panicky, get it in there as much as you can. And usually the best way is to keep at it. So your good play and your discipline get you into that position.
So that defeat at the time meant it was 4 defeats in 5 for Tottenham, having 6 weeks ago been in a title race. They were very much back in a battle for the top 4. They got back to the new White Hart Lane last night, spectacular looking stadium, the big opening ceremony and all that, and they got their victory against Crystal Palace. Impressed by the stadium?
Oh yeah, absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's taken a long time to get it right.
Sure, £1 billion.
And it hasn't helped the team and the manager, Nathan. The home ground is your home ground. Playing at Wembley is not your home ground. So I'd say, like Pochettino has done well with the delay and all the various things he hasn't been able to buy players and all the various things. I think you will find it. But again, moving the stadium is one thing. Now getting the extra players in is another thing.
And he's been very forceful on that over the last few days. Like, he's played a patient game over the last 2 or 3 years when it came to his public comments around Daniel Levy and investment. Yeah. But he's been very clear, we have a world-class facility, the best in English football. We now need to get the best on the pitch.
Well, if you don't have it on the pitch, the stadium's no good to you. I mean, it's great to have the stadium. But, Pochettino has actually changed his tune a few times, Nathan. At the end of last season, he said the chairman's got to be brave, he's got to get his hand in his pocket, he's got to start spending money.
Didn't spend a penny.
Yeah, he didn't spend anything. And then a couple of months later, I think it was no coincidence, after he signed his contract, he said, well, no, I didn't mean it that way. I meant the manager, the chairman was brave by not spending the money,
Yeah.
So, I think the Manchester United situation is gone. It looks like the Real Madrid situation is gone. So I think you get slightly different comments from him now. But there's no doubt, I mean, they do need to increase the squad. I mean, look at Manchester City now, like going for the trophies, and they're able to make 4 changes or 5 changes with top-class players, same for next Saturday, whatever way they do it. Yeah. Tottenham are playing with the same. You're bound to get injuries, you're bound to get players tired. It catches up on you, Nathan, as the season goes on. And that's what's happened with Spurs.
What was your favourite stadium to play in? Away from Elland Road?
Like Highbury, like Goodison, like Manchester United, like Main Road.
Did you get a warm reception when you went back to Old Trafford?
No, definitely not. We were playing one night, and I was in a little bit of it. We were winning to get Manchester United. At the time, we dominated Manchester United, so it was free kick. It was pretty, and there was a big chant, Giles is a reject. I didn't know what they were singing that for. I knew it wasn't complimentary, but it was, like when I went to Leeds first in the second division, so Manchester United went on and to win the league and the Champions League while we were coming on. But then we got the stage where the young team and the Manchester United team went off. So we did dominate them for a few years. So that's when I got most of abuse. Most of the abuse. Yeah.
Would you have heard much of it then? Would you have been aware during a game of any abuse?
I heard them chanting Giles is a reject, and I thought he was saying Giles is an idiot.
So fair enough, lads.
I didn't know which was best. I think I was pleased when I heard it was a reject.
And you didn't bite back, obviously, then.
Well, I happened to make a goal just after that, which is the best way. No, it wouldn't bother you anyway, Nathan. That happens, you know.
Obviously, there's so many conversations about fan behaviour at the moment regarding English football and football around Europe. Do you think it was worse back then? Like, was the abuse players had to take worse than what it is right now?
I don't think so. I think the black players, I think, did. I mean, it's
the racism was there back then as well.
Oh yeah. Well, probably more so in that, because there weren't so many black players. I mean, we had a lad, Albert Johansson, for example, played as black. He got unbelievable abuse when we played away, because it, like anybody that looks anything different gets stick. Now, I'm not saying it was obviously racist, because they were picking on. But if you're different to anybody else, you're going to get stick.
And did you receive any stick for being Irish?
Well, I got a good few comments. Yeah, because you were close to the. Like, we had a match at Goodison one time with our first year back in the first division, and like they had a few tough nuts in Sandy Brown and Jimmy Gabriel and that, and we were upstarts. You know, like, we'd come back. Now, we had Bobby Collins playing for us as well, but we played at Goodison, and I think that day, Goodison, the Everton player, we're going to show these guys who can dish it out, because everybody was dishing it out in those days. And but the thing is with the Leeds lads, I mean, we were in the first bit, didn't back down to anybody. But I got into a clash. Well, it wasn't a clash. Sandy Brown was a Scottish fullback, a bit of a headbanger, you know. Sandy was. He was a good player, a bit of a headbanger. And I was playing on the right wing, and he was marking me. And the two of us fell to the ground together. And Sandy actually punched me on the ground with the referee. He was sent off. So taking a bit of sense. Well, immediately, the place nearly erupted, you know. We went to goal in front, which was deadly. And in those days, well, now, you know, Goodison, you're quite near the goal. I got unbelievable abuse. Paddy and your Teddy Picker and your Irish so-and-so and plenty of that.
And did it affect you?
No, couldn't care less. But that's the way it was. And it got so bad. There was another crossfield ball with a lad called Willie Bell, and one of the Everton players diving, and the two of them clashed. It was, you know, just a clash. It was the first time, it looked like they were going to invade the pitch. It was that hot.
Right.
First time ever, the referee took the players off the pitch.
To protect you?
For 10 to 15 minutes for us to cool down. That's how close it was, because there was no railings or anything there. In that. That's how bad it could be. And that was plenty of... There was plenty of... I remember Alan Shearer going back to Blackburn after he'd won the league with Blackburn, went to Newcastle. He got unbelievable stick from the
opposition, despite everything he'd done.
Blackburn player. Yeah. Because it was different. And I think, generally speaking, the home crowd loved to have a go at somebody.
Yeah.
Like, now, especially the black players, because they were outstanding. But there's more black players now than ever before. So they get their fair share, but so do a lot of the white lads who are done something, scored a good goal or committed a foul and that, get it. The fans love having a go at somebody.
Yeah, it's obviously pretty despicable, some of the stuff that's
especially when they've scored a goal.
Sterling and players like that. Yeah, we're seeing the players, and look, the players, I think, certainly the likes of Raheem Sterling, Mossy Keane, we've seen that Juventus are learning to react in a way that actually they can make a stand and they can make a point and they can get the public behind them and make people realise how despicable all this that's going on.
It is, and it always was. But as I said, in the old days, there was very few black players. Anyway, you know, so they were always going to be a target. Yeah. But it's funny enough, Nathan, the way the changes when Barnes went to Liverpool and Newcastle were two really well noted for having a go at black players. Barnes went to
Liverpool.
He was a hero. I don't think they got at the black players at the opposition.
John Barnes came and changed.
When the other lad went to Newcastle, was Andy Cole. He became a hero.
Right.
Scoring goals left, right and centre. He was a hero. I think they calmed down on black players as well.
Just before we go, the scraps you had with all the various headbangers down the years, did you ever back down from anybody? Was there ever anybody you were up against on the pitch where you went, actually, I'll stay away from him?
Well, there's a few you could stay away from, but you wouldn't be backing down from them. You couldn't, Nathan. I got a bit of bad injury with Eddie McCready when I was, like this time it was rough, and that was the end for me. I thought, no, I'm playing on, and that was like Eddie McCready tackled me when the ball was 15 yards, but didn't mean knee ligaments, right?
What age were you?
I think I was 24. And I thought...
Just totally off the ball?
Oh, I'd let the ball go. Norman Hunter was getting a shot in when Eddie McCready... Eddie was a very good player, but there was loads of people around in those days.
Yeah.
If you didn't, you'd be out of the game. And I decided, well, you can be a lamb or a lion. That's what I decided in my head. There's no way I was going to take anything from anybody again.
Yeah.
Ever.
Hard decision to make when your ligaments are in bits.
Well, it was the right time to make it. So you recovered from that, and that was it.
We're back.
That was, oh yeah. Because it got rougher and rougher, Nathan. Like in those days, you had to commit grievous bodily harm to get a yellow card. Like that tackle, you've ever seen the telly, Eddie McCready from all those years ago, you didn't even get booked. So
yeah,
the point was then, you have to look after yourself. You know, you have to, if you didn't, like I eventually went back into midfield from that. If you didn't, you're going to be out of the game. You wouldn't be out of it, but you wouldn't be like have a go at him and that'd be the end of it. So you had to give as much as you got and more.
And you did that, I think.
Had to.
John, great stuff as always. Thanks for joining us in studio.